So 2020 has been a weird year for travel. It dipped way down in the spring. It's starting to slowly creep back up. In general, we don't recommend traveling unless you have to, maybe if you need to see family. But if you do need to travel, here are 4 tips for traveling during the pandemic. Know which airline is handling the pandemic the best. There's a ton to consider when picking an airline, and a lot of people are really nervous about this, but I can boil it down to 2 really big issues that you want to focus on. The first one is flexibility. So everyone's plans are in total flux right now. You don't want to buy a ticket that you won't be able to change later. And a lot of airlines are offering free change and cancellation fee waivers on new bookings, which basically means you can buy a ticket now and change it in the future without getting a big fee or losing all your money. You probably won't get your money back, but you'll get a voucher that you can use with that same airline to book a future ticket. Second issue, health and safety. Obviously, this is on top of everyone's mind, and airlines are doing a ton of different stuff to try to make people feel good. They're wiping down surfaces, they're putting in new air filters, but really there are 2 big things that you want to focus on when you're picking an airline. You want to make sure they're blocking middle seats. Basically, you don't want to be sitting right next to someone. And right now, Delta and Southwest are blocking middle seats. Other airlines are as well, but their policy is a little fudgier. And then number 2, mask enforcement. All airlines are requiring masks on board, but some airlines are taking sort of extra steps to ensure that those mask policies are actually followed, including kicking people off the planes who don't follow them or banning them from all future flights. So Delta, Southwest, Alaska, JetBlue have taken these really big extra steps, so they're good ones to target when picking for health and safety. Number 2, pick your lodging carefully. For health and safety, most hotels are requiring masks indoors and common spaces, but that's something you want to check. Another thing to keep in mind is whether a hotel or a vacation rental is blocking rooms between guests so that you're not checking in right after somebody else checks out. And then this is just kind of an unofficial tip. Just try to stay out of elevators. It's hard to maintain proper social distance in elevators. For flexibility, you want to book a room that will let you change to a later date for free. We found that Radisson, Hyatt, and Marriott have offered really good policies. And sort of in general, with all of these policies, we found that hotels have been able to maintain and enforce these policies, whereas vacation rental companies like Airbnb and VRBO have some policies in place, but they're more like recommendations to their hosts. So when in doubt, I sort of say, go with the hotel. Number 3, be smart about travel insurance. A lot of people are thinking about travel insurance now. We ran a study recently that found that 45% of Americans are planning to get travel insurance for a future trip, which is up 20% since the beginning of the pandemic. So that's great, but you should keep in mind that travel insurance might not cover your trip depending on how it plays out. Basically, if you just plan to change your trip because you're uncomfortable traveling because rates are too high or whatever, your travel insurance probably won't cover you unless you have cancel for any reason insurance, which is generally more expensive. Now, if you use a credit card to book the ticket and that card offers reimbursement for medical expenses and you get sick while you're traveling, then that insurance may help cover some of the cost. But in general, don't look to travel insurance to cover all the issues while traveling during the pandemic. Number 4, when in doubt, road trip. Airlines are doing a lot to ensure safety, but there's kind of only so much they can do when they're packing a bunch of people on a small metal tube. So if you don't feel great about that, just jump in the car and drive instead. I recently faced the same dilemma. I had to go from LA up to Seattle, and I was trying to figure out whether I wanted to fly or drive. And I talked to some health experts, and I ended up deciding that actually I thought driving was a little bit safer. So a few things to keep in mind if you drive. The big issue is you just want to avoid crowded indoor public spaces. So skip restaurants, try to spend as little time in gas stations as you can. You will realize on your first day on the road that by far the biggest challenge is using the bathroom. And I don't have any great advice for how to do that, but just try to avoid any bathrooms that seem too crowded or are getting too much use. Finally, there are a lot of credit cards offering really good bonus on spending for road trips, including gas stations and takeout food and grocery stores. So check your offers on your current credit cards and see which ones you should use for all those spending categories. All right, so those are all the tips. Let's recap. Number 1, look for airlines that offer good health policies and flexible booking options. We found that Delta and Southwest are the best. Number 2, look for hotels that offer the same thing. We found that Hilton and Hyatt have done a great job. Number 3, be smart with travel insurance. Don't count on it to bail you out if you decide to change your mind. And number 4, if you don't feel comfortable flying, just drive instead. So we know that the safest thing to do right now is to stay at home, and we certainly encourage that as much as possible. But if you're going crazy or if you need to travel for some reason, then follow these tips and you should do great. All right, that's it. Thank you for watching. I'm Sam. I'm a travel rewards expert at NerdWallet. I live in a van most of the time, a 1991 Mitsubishi Delica 4-wheel drive diesel van, which only breaks down sometimes. If you have any questions about living in a van or airlines or hotels or rewards or anything like that, please leave them in a comment. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe. Thank you very much.